2024, we're exactly where we want to be, and that's for the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board meeting. As normal, we're going to go around, and I want you, if you're a board member, to say their name and why you like being on this board. If you're a staff member, I want you to say your name and major duties are in the Parks and Rec.
Hello, my name is Derek Turno, and I'm on the board because I really use green spaces and think they're very beneficial for the community.
Great, thank you, Derek.
My name is Ingrid Johnson, and I'm a board member and new member of the board, and I would be on the board to learn about park development and all that the parks do and bring that back to my community.
I'm Thomas Gold, Principal Park Planner, with Long Island Parks and Rec.
I'm Jill Carter, I'm the Open Space Bond Manager, and this really has been a very instrumental thing to get this bond set up.
I'm Adam Zinke, I'm the Office Manager for Oakland County Parks and Rec.
I'm Kevin Conrad, I'm the board member, and I like to be on this board because parks make life better.
Awesome. That's right, yeah. That's a story.
Lena Richards representing Inca Gambler District, and happy Parks and Rec Month, by the way. And I enjoy being on this board because I feel like I'm contributing to the park system, especially in my community of Inca Gambler.
Dave Burdett, I work in the East Ashland District. And I guess, well, I got inspired to be on the board by my church. There's so many to volunteer in the community, but I already did a bunch of like coaching, helping kids, and I just wanted to have a broader perspective of what went on. So I thought this would be a good introduction on how it
So David brings a wealth of background and information to the board, and we're really happy with that. I'm so glad he's a member of the board. My name's Carol Peterson, and there's nothing more important than people recreating and being together and being outside of this beautiful country, and it's just amazing what this small staff with a tight budget does, and I'm so proud of it.
Thank you. Allison Baines, I'm the director for Buncombe County Parks and Recreation, and appreciate everybody being here and being a part of it, because I also very strongly believe that parks include quality of life for everyone that is living in Buncombe County and beyond. And I think there's such a vast majority of folks that have a deep appreciation for the various recreational opportunities. And I love the variance in that, and the people that we touch in many ways help improve the well-being.
I'm Joseph Peaceman, project manager for Buncombe County Parks and Rec.
Well, everybody who has introduced themselves has a vital role that they play in Parks and Rec, and I know you know from being a part of it. Some of you for years and years, and some of you for months know the great job that this department does, and I really appreciate it. Cane Creek Middle School pool, or Cane Creek pool on my way in here, and they're about standing like this in the pool. I don't believe anybody's swimming. I believe they're just all standing like this. There's so many people there. So I'm so proud that that's good. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion to approve. Second. All in favor, please say aye. Thank you very much. Okay, Ms. Allison, you are home.
Yes. So very excited. We are happy New Year. It is fiscal year 25 for us. So July 1st started the new fiscal year for us. We are very excited to announce that we had 2 vehicles that have been approved in our budget for this year. One of them is a new program van for our core program, Community Outreach and Recreational Experiences. And that will be an electric van that we'll be having. And we've also got approved a box truck, which will be a box truck that will be used as we start to really grow a landscape and kind of trails crew, taking better care of the landscaping throughout county parks. So we're excited to have those 2 vehicles in that budget. We also are excited that we've got approval for some new signage, some new lighted signage eventually that'll be at some of our parks. I think the priority park that we've identified is Lake Julian. I won't go into too much of that, but I'm very excited about where we are. We did get the $500,000 approved for the design of the turf and lighted fields out at the sports park. I don't want to take anyone's thunder too much, but that was in the budget, so I'll let anything that has progressed since then be discussed by the project manager of that. So very excited about those items coming up. Another thing that I wanted to discuss was Hominy River Park. Some of you may have seen or heard about that this season will be the last season that the French Broad River Outfitters will be operating their business out of that location. That location will be converted into a large park, open space use for the entire community. There is a conservation easement on that piece of peninsula that does not allow for commercial operations to operate specifically out of that location. However,
Is that a new easement?
no, the easement has been there for a while. It has recently been brought back to attention. But the important thing to know about that is that there still will be community access, and outfitters will be able to drop off and pick up from there. They just can't do their transaction of business there. And so, working with Riverlink on that, we've had communications with the company that's using that, and hopefully we were able to do an extension. Their lease was up, I believe, in June or July, but we were able to extend that through October and work with Riverlink to have that piece of property in compliance by December of this year. And so we'll be looking at what we need to do to make some improvements and have a truly accessible entry into the French Broad from that location. So we'll be having conversations and community input sessions or community discussions about what that timeline looks like. So, but just know that that is one of the things that's going on.
Is the end goal for that to have it like visually contiguous with the infrastructure that's already there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, very much so.
I think there's a fence there.
Yeah, and that's the delineation of the business that's operating on that piece compared to the truly public piece. So the whole thing will be public access. But it's gonna take a little bit of time to develop and make sure that we're doing it in an ethical way, especially just that two area where Hominy Creek and French Broad are just so in need of restoration. And so as we take it over, we want to make sure that we're really keeping that at our forefront. You know, the business that operating has been doing the best that they can and trying to ensure that they're taking good care of that. And so we want to make sure that as we take it over as public, that we are really restoring on our end of things as well, and keeping in line with the conservation easement to improve the quality of the water that's there as well. So we will continue to be good stewards of that property and keep it public. The other thing is we do have several new employees that'll be coming on, part-time employees that have been approved. So we're excited to have 2 part-time program employees that we'll be hiring, as well as a new employee that's part-time over at the lake. So that's been really good. We're in the process of hiring a recreation operations manager. As you know, when Peg, who was a program manager, retired, I had lunch or breakfast with her this morning. She's doing well and wishes everyone well. And so we hope to have that position filled sometime in the beginning of August. And that position has been upgraded. It is a division manager level position. And so they'll be in charge of the recreation side of the house while we have Thomas on the parks. And then the last thing that I have here is right now we are still in a holding pattern, waiting to hear from the state about we've put in an initial application for ORLUP, Outdoor Recreation Legacy Program grant. It's a federal grant that we're working on with the Southern Appalachian Highlands Conservancy. There may be some changes that we're looking at in terms of those grants. So right now we're in discussion about how we move forward and what is the best way to utilize federal funds and how to maximize matching funds when it comes to those types of grants. So just know that we're having those discussions to see how we can best maximize those kinds of grant funds and see the best avenue forward to approach those funds. And those funds were specifically initially right now for acquisition money for the deed review property, which the Board of Commission did approve for us moving forward with that. And so just wanted to make sure that you all were aware of that. Jill is here and she'll talk more about bond funds and such later, so I'll let her have that end of things. And so for now, that's all that I have. There's a lot more happening, but we'll talk about other stuff throughout. If we miss something, I'll get you at the end.
That's great. Thank you so much, Alice.
Yeah.
Thomas.
Yes, so the Greenway update, I feel like we just met yesterday, so there's not a whole lot of progress made since we met last time. Just because it's the nature of Greenways, but all three of our kind of existing projects are moving forward. We've added a fourth. I'll let Joseph speak to him a little bit, but let's go to Inca Heritage Trail. I think we finally come to a preliminary both vertical and horizontal alignment on that. So we're getting close to our 25% design submittal to NCDOT, which is huge. Just get there. I feel like that's going to be a big hurdle for us to overcome. On the Woodfin Greenway Highway 251, still working through the issue at MSD. We most recently had a meeting with them end of June, in which we're kind of just final tweaks on our alignment that's going to end up running in front of their building. But it's going to happen. We hope to have resolution on that matter mid-July, and then be moving into right of way soon thereafter after we get final approval from NCDOT. So that's pretty exciting. Once we go into right of way acquisition, it's expected that it will take about a year for all of the acquisition, and then we begin construction after that. So you'd be looking at sometime into 2025. We'd be in construction for the Woodfin Greenway along the French Broad River. And then the Beaver Dam Creek section, making steady progress there as well. Have already submitted our 25% design submittal to NCDOT for that. There is some additional environmental work that we're going to have to do, because that does go over some sections of brownfield on the main parcel that we're using, this old landfill site. So we just have to do some extra environmental testing just to make sure that we're keeping everybody safe. But the brownfield agreement does allow for Greenway use, so don't expect any problems there. Yeah, so that's the Greenway updates. Now I'll switch over to the master plan. So as you may or may not know, we're doing our system-wide recreation, parks and recreation master plan, comprised of an open space master plan, a parks and rec master plan, and our greenways and trails master plan update from our 2012 plan. We are basically wrapping up kind of the initial public engagement portion of that particular master plan. So we're going to be closing our online survey soon. We have gotten all of the results back from our statistically valid survey that we needed to. Our consultants did, so we hit the magic number there. So that is complete. We'll be closing down an online survey within a couple of weeks. So if you know of anybody who wants to take it, who hasn't taken it, speak now or forever hold your peace kind of a deal. But not really, because there'll be other opportunities to provide your input. But that's really the call to action right now, is if you want to take that on today, you better do it, because we're closing it up soon. There will be a number of workshops that will kind of go into the findings of the surveys, what our consultant found there, and what their proposals be as we move forward. So exciting stuff to come in the fall on the master plan front. I'm still aiming to have that adopted by commission the end of this year or early in 2025. So that's the update.
Good report, and I want to have a shout out to the PR people who are getting Parks and Rec. Every time I open Facebook, there's something about Parks and Rec there. I mean, and I appreciate that so much. And there was an article that said, if you're wrapping up with this survey and to get your, like I say, speak now forever, hold your peace. But that's not like first time not the last time they've had it on. It's just been constant on Facebook. And I really appreciate what's happening as far as letting folks know how active our Parks and Recreation Department is. Also, Thomas, I read in the paper a day or two ago that Asheville just wrapped up their master plan.
I think, yeah, their initial draft is already out, so they're tracking a couple months ahead of us.
Okay.
Initially, we thought we were gonna be a lot more on track.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that would have helped or hurt us.
Yeah.
It's good to have a little bit of distance between theirs and ours, but we added scope to ours, so we added those extra plans, which took a little bit longer to negotiate, but.
What I wanted to say is that I think it speaks highly of both the county and the city and how they value recreation, Parks and Recreation, and having been to several of your pop-up meetings or whatever you call it, the crowds are incredible. These people are really interested and they do such a good job presenting it. And you've got to include the community, and that's what we're all about. So thank you, sir.
Yeah, and just to kind of piggyback on that, yeah, like Catalina and team have done an amazing job.
Really.
I constantly hear from people like, normally, like I hear about these things after they
I
happen.
know.
So, props to Catalina and the K team on getting the word out on all that, but.
Absolutely.
These master plans will really enable us to like seek funds. So that's the thing I'm trying to hammer home is like, we have to have these things in commissioner adopted plans. That's just a lot better whenever we're doing our grant pursuits because it shows community support for the things that we're applying for. So they're
So
huge.
very important to have that roadmap.
Yep.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Jill.
Well, thank you guys for having me. It's been a while since I've seen all of y'all in this capacity. And on that, there's been a lot of updates with the open space bond. As you guys know, the open space bond had a total of $30 million in funding. As of today, there are 6 projects that have already been approved by the Board of Commissioners, totaling $12.9 million. 3 of those are conservation easement projects that went through our Land Conservation Advisory Board and Agricultural Advisory Board project selection processes. And then we also have the Winston Greenway, which is actually the first project to be approved. And then most recently, we have Deaverview Mountain. The Board of Commissioners asked us to bring forward Deaverview Mountain improvements as a potential bond project. And they approved $7.7 million for the actual development of the park. Which, as Allison kind of alluded to before, that obviously depends on the acquisition and Orla plays into that, but the $7.7 million is intended for actually developing the park itself. They also approved $3 million for Ferry Road open space, which is going, I think Joseph is going to talk more about this, but it'll include a greenway, a conservation, and a trail system. So that's a really great fit with this bond as well. And that $3 million makes the project whole. We received a TDA linked grant of $4 million for that project. So this really gets us across the funding line for that. And so that again is $12.9 million in approved commitments. We also have a number of commitments that we anticipate coming down the pipeline in the next year, including the Inca Heritage Trail and a number of conservation easement projects. And those total $6.7 million. So the total known commitments is $19.6 million, which means that there is $10.4 million in funding remaining from the open space bond. And the first place where that is likely to go is our passive recreation land projects. We have the window for the passive recreation projects closed at the end of March. And our subcommittee is currently in the process of reviewing all of those proposals that we received. We received 11 proposals totaling $10.9 million in funding requests. So our available funding and our funding requests are fairly close, but we can't quite fund everything. So they've got some important decisions to make. And they will be continuing their review process in July and August and making their recommendations to the Board of Commissioners in September. And then the commissioners will have the final say and vote whether or not to approve those recommendations. That is the open space bond.
You want to have a question? That's a lot of it.
It is a lot of information. And I kind of went through. Happy to repeat it.
Question at all. Good stuff.
We have several people on the advisory board. Thank you for y'all's time and attention. I just wanted to say as a side note, there have been some really thoughtful discussions and questions that have been asked in the subcommittee meetings, and those subcommittee meetings are public. And so people are more than welcome to attend those virtually and or go back and see them because they're also.
And we'll add to that and say, before the subcommittee began their review, we had a scoring committee of staff that reviewed the proposals and assigned scores for those evaluation criteria that came before this board last year as an update. And so I want to give a shout out to the staff too, because they really were able to apply their expertise on understanding the feasibility of these projects, their impact on things like equity and conservation. That's been able to help guide conversation for the subcommittee.
Good. Thank you. Joseph.
Awesome. So I'll start with smaller stuff going on and then I'll move to the larger scale. Just got back. I went to Owen this morning. We're installing Wi-Fi out there. Wi-Fi in parks, I guess, is the future. But it actually is very nice. You see, like at the sports park, parents watching their kids play and they're able to work from the pavilion and stuff. So it's kind of a nice thing to have out there at Owen as well. And then also, we went over to Lake Julian afterwards. They're pouring concrete for the new bathroom building. We had a prefab bathroom delivered, dropped down with a crane, came in 3 sections. And now the sidewalk is the last step. So sidewalk and inspection, and hopefully that thing will be open. It's pretty nice if you have time to go out there and look at it. Kind of looks like the national park style prefab bathroom. So be big for out there. Also out there, we're doing some pavilion improvements, kind of addressing some drainage issues they've been having. One of the areas is the Pavilion 2 up on the hill. It's also going to include some steps going down the bank now with mulch and some landscaping, some brickwork, kind of just making them look a little bit nicer. We also have some benches we're going to be putting out there on the disc golf course, and also 3 new ones around the playground out there. On the 22nd, we'll be installing those. And then we also got new grills for the whole park. So be taking out the old ones, putting in the new ones, and kind of, you know, small little things, hopefully build up to helping that park out. And then also, we got some new dog waste stations. I know that's exciting. Got those put in at Open. It's kind of funny. We got an email from the community, and this woman was like, I need someone to put my dog's waste at the end of the trail at Owen. We were like, well, actually, we just got them in yesterday, so we put them in that day. We're like, yes. We got a response. But that's kind of the smaller stuff going on now. Every little bit helps. Being July, we have a new budget, so gonna start looking at doing some more of these smaller projects, helping each of the parks and whatnot. So larger projects, Ferry Road, which I think I touched on a little bit last time. The RFQ was out. We did do that review, and we have a designer, but we haven't gone through contract negotiation yet, so I'll wait to say who that is until we are done with contract negotiation. Same with the turf fields. We also did the RFQ review, and then we're gonna start contract negotiation with their firm as well. 2 different firms, very different projects. Never know what happens in those negotiations. Hopefully it goes smoothly, but hopefully next meeting I'll be able to share who those firms are.
Yeah. When do you expect to be able to break ground on the Ferry Road Greenway?
There's a lot of question marks with that one. Hopefully the design process goes smoothly and we can at least do some aspects of it, maybe next year. Greenway section, I think I touched on this last time, is really what we're trying to tackle right now. Down by the riverside, and then also that boardwalk section, which will be kind of a small section of that greenway.
Would that connect up and over or just along the river?
Just along the river is really what we're trying to look at right now, because the development aspect is still yet to be determined. And we don't want to be building trails where they're gonna be putting development. So it's gonna be a process to where we might be able to tackle the greenway and boardwalk, and also start looking at connectivity with Bent Creek River Park. And then going across the bridge there to the Billable Farms property. Probably can start looking at all that now, but then the actual like 1.9 miles of natural trails going up the mountainsides. Will have to be worked with the developer.
Well, in the plans, the Greenway went up to Ferry Road itself. Is that?
That's the natural trails will go up the Ferry Road itself, and the Greenway, some of the Greenway will cut back. But that's also a section that will probably hold off.
All that I would say is it's gonna have to be a phased approach because of the development that's going on.
Sure.
Like up the hill, and like just was saying, we just don't wanna build anything to have to tear it down and then rebuild it like a month later or a year later, so. And all of that, the great part is that it's all been master planned and we know that development is gonna happen up there. So we just have to figure out how we actually phase it so that we can not have to redo the work.
Yeah, and it's, they're just still trying to figure out who the developer is for that property, so.
Yeah, it's my understanding, I think both our understandings, there's gonna be multiple developers there. So, yeah.
Hopefully our designer will be working their team and can share that where. Because one of the biggest things with Ferry Road too, right, is that we have to provide access to the greenway. Before they're even done with the development up above. So there is a roadway aspect and parking aspect that we will have to be working on in this first phase. Before they even start development. So.
Yeah, we're gonna try to get access to it before the developments.
And that'll go in at the Bent Creek Ranch light. For parking.
We're not exactly sure.
There's a couple options, yeah. But it's one of those you get really excited and the design process is gonna figure out a lot more things along the way.
Now, this is the good part of having representation across the county. This gentleman lives in Bent Creek area. He's very interested in what's gonna happen. What's gonna happen.
There's a half mile of 191 that I ride on.
He wants to talk to you
Very
later.
much looking forward to that green.
Well, and that's a good thing that I forgot to say is actually part of this contract, we're dealing with the designers, community outreach meetings.
Oh,
So
cool.
we're gonna have community outreach meetings as part of the design process.
They don't have it,
So-
you're fine.
Yeah. But that's pretty much everything except one last very exciting thing is we got some bear-proof trash cans out of Ellen, so it's big moves, but. Yeah.
Then we continue to do work in partnership with our general services department as well. So kind of the icing on the cake out at Lake Julian is gonna be the end of this summer.
Yeah.
We're doing a paving project out there, and some of that's gonna involve like pulling back some of the pavement from the shoreline, because there's some sections where we're getting like really close. So eliminating paving in some spots and then seeing how we can kind of maximize parking in other spots, but. That's kind of after we get the bathroom in place and everything, all of our other smaller stuff done. They're gonna come back in the summer, early fall kind of, and pave that so it'll look like a brand new park out there.
The biggest part of that project is like we will have to. We will have to close the park down for a little bit of time. Once we're done with paving.
So yeah, there's a lot going, all that to say, there's a lot going on in a lot of different scales. Yeah, Joseph's been pretty great at pushing all of this stuff forward, no matter how small the task is up to it. He's not too, he's not above anything, which has been great.
And And the last thing, there is a restroom facility over at the sports park, which is another project that is in a park, but General Services is managing, so it's the restroom facility between fields 1 and 2 and 8. So 8 is that farthest high one, and there'll be a restroom facility that's up there, they've been working on that. I don't know if you know the timeline for that.
They're moving quite quickly, in the next few months, I think we're looking at 3 months left, because the biggest thing left is the water line. So they're gonna finish the bathroom and then, install the new water lines, which will be the.
So by the end of the year, we'll have a new restroom up there.
It's great.
Also, I'd just touch on it briefly, the wave project, we're still involved with that. Not as much as we once were, but I'm still kind of a technical support for that project in the town of Whitman, so I'm still on all the pre-con meetings and working with Baker a lot on getting that going, but they I think you were at the celebration, I think I saw you there, yes, so we had the groundbreaking celebration, good crowd came out, so exciting.
Certain by Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, timeline on that, it might be next year by the time it's completed, especially with hurricane season not looking great this year, so water flow is a huge thing with that project.
You have a pretty wide gamut of things. Bathrooms, water.
Turf fields now, yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm going to get.
Now, Adam, what are the upcoming events and programming?
Yes,
Matt Dixon is
indeed,
not here with us, so.
but he left me some words of wisdom, which I shall impart. Not much to say about the Independence Day celebration, except it went off quite a hitch, and we had a lot of attendees, which we were a little worried about because we had to move the date this year from the usual July 4th, but people loved it, and it was a resounding success.
And I do want to say that it's the first year that we used Pyrotechnico. That was the company that we used this year because the company we previously used went out of business. I think he retired and folded that business, someone else purchased it. And so we were very grateful that Pyrotechnico was able to put us into their schedule, which is why our event was not on the course. Because I know we had a lot of questions about that, and so we were very grateful we were able to get a company solidified and under contract around the time to be able to do that.
Around where our house, people start fireworks week before the week after.
There you go.
And Mac has some special Olympic updates to share. He just recently had 39 athletes from across 3 sports, swimming, bowling, and two gymnastic teams go to summer games in Raleigh. They brought home multiple gold, silver, and bronze medals. And then we're gonna have some quiet before we start back with our fall sports in September. A little quiet time for Special Olympics now. And Special Olympics, North Carolina is bringing a fundraiser to Asheville in September called Over the Edge. They're holding an interest meeting on July 10th from 12 to 1:30. Mac will be attending, and a flyer is attached that I passed out to everyone earlier, for anyone who'd like to go. And you can reach out to Mac if you have any further questions. See, also, we have a core program, it started back up in June, and and it's gone to 5 locations so far, and it's had 118 participants. We'll continue going to community centers and parks throughout the summer and fall.
He's at Pin Creek today, doing core programming this morning. So. Let's see.
And our next fishing tournament of the season will be happening on August 24th out at Lake Julian. Nothing much to report there. And our pools are open. They're throughout the summer, Monday through Friday, 11:30 to 5:30, and Saturday 11 to 6, Sunday 1 to 6. Pool seasons will end in the second week of August, with the exception of Irwin, which will be on weekends only through August 12th and September 2nd. Collaboration with Bunker County Schools Nutrition for the free summer meal program. This program uses some of our pool locations to provide free healthy meals for kids and teens 18 and younger, and we have a flyer for that also as well. that's about it.
I do just want to make a comment about the summer meals program. So one of the ways that we try to reach out into communities is by partnering with stakeholders and organizations and stuff, and being able to collaborate with Buncombe County Schools through the nutrition program. It's nice that all of our pool locations were able to offer that summer meals program so that families in need can go there and get lunches for their children throughout the summer. So we're very grateful for that partnership and collaboration.
Any questions about them? Good stuff. The next item on, it's the latest agenda.
I think it is, yes.
Okay. Advisory board retreat. I don't want people's attention. And Allison is gonna lead this discussion really, but I'll help her, but our thought is, we've met together several times, and our thought is we would like a board that feels more involved and you bring your individual interests and expertise to not only the board, but to the department. And it's hard to do that within an hour meeting every other month. I mean, it seems like what we're doing this meeting and getting an update about what these fine people are doing. And they're working hard every day. So how can we involve the advisory board more? How does a good advisory board work? What's the communication level? What is in between this fine staff and those of us who come in every other month? And how can we help? How can you help us? What help do you need? So our thought process was that perhaps we could spend 2 or 3 hours together. That's, you know, if you have your calendar out, all of school, wasting one. To try to decide on a time when we could have 2 or 3 hours together with the staff, with perhaps bringing in an expert. Don't you love it when they say you'll bring in an expert? Bring in an expert to guide us through how successful advisory boards work. It would help our staff more, how they can help us be of use to them and them to us. So, Allison, can you elaborate?
What more can I say? You've got it all.
I read it.
I do also want to emphasize, so yes, we've had a really good conversation, and I really, appreciate people taking their time to volunteer on advisory boards, and want to make sure that you realize that we want a working board that is interested and involved in that. Your talents and the reasons that you all have chosen to come to this board are coming to fruition and helping move the department forward. And so we also have a couple of vacancies right now. And, part of me thought about waiting till it was all full, but upon further conversation, I think it's also maybe an opportunity to say, what do we need that we do not currently have? And then as we advertise for the 2 new board members, that we can put those things out so that we can say, where are we strongest? Where are y'all's strengths and y'all's passions for parks and recreation? And then how do we round out any gaps in our board to ensure that the full voice of all of the county is being heard and represented?
And then I'm going to interrupt you just a minute. An example of that is County Human Services Board. They have a criteria that they go through. You have to have an eye doctor, a foot doctor, and those. Not really, but you have to have somebody who represents each area in the medical field. They'll say, we have an opening for an optometrist. We have an opening for someone who works in nursing homes. So that's about the same thing.
Yeah. So we already know that we have some very active, involved folks that are passionate about greenways and trails and open space.
Community centers.
Yeah. And so, we want to make sure that all recreation is being represented throughout the county too. And so again, I think having someone come in and help facilitate, what you all are looking to bring and able to do to help move things forward, and then where those gaps are. And then we'll put together that criteria for the new board members, ensuring that we're keeping in mind with representation in different areas of the county, but being able to specifically ask for certain things. And one of the things that I would say that I think is something we're having a conversation with, because David, you're really one of the folks who's kind of come in and who's been a coach and really being active in sports, youth activities. And so, you know, that an area also being looked at, what we're doing, and maybe looking at how we get into underserved and underrepresented communities more as well. And really rural parts of communities as well as BIPOC communities. So wanting to do that. And I think what we'll probably wind up doing is sending out some type of doodle poll that says, you know, what is the best time for you all in terms of days of the week that would work for this? Would it be an afternoon? Would it no? This would definitely need to be an after hours thing, but kind of get the majority thoughts from you all. And then what we'll do is put a proposal together for when we'd like to happen. I'm viewing that this probably will be the end of August or September sometime. So this is not something that is gonna happen, you know, next week or something. And so probably more like September in order to really make sure that we're doing it with intention and all the right people and ensuring the maximum.
Not just market all.
Yeah, making sure the maximum ability, and we can talk later about some of those high level times for you all, and like I said, we'll send something.
Any remarks or discussion?
Yeah. Or thoughts that you have, just even hearing this, like what you would like to see from that.
Just one thought that I have, because I mean, it definitely sounds like, you know, an hour at this time, it goes by pretty quick, and I'd be curious, and y'all do a great job of like agendas, sending those out of like understanding what some of the specific goals or outcomes that we'd like to see from the meeting, just in terms of, as a new member, you know, I feel like I'm doing a lot of learning. And so if there's any kind of pre-thinking or connecting with groups that I work with, or, you know, prior to the meeting would be helpful, just to make it as fruitful as possible. Good.
Which leads into, remember I said that if I forgot something, this is the perfect time to insert that. Right now, thank you for that softball. Right now, as a department and as a county, we are undergoing our 2025 year is ending for our strategic business plan. So we are getting together and we are working on goals and objectives for the next couple of years of our strategic business plan internally. And so, Ingrid, that is 100% in line with what we're doing. And you should be seeing at a higher level, the county is reaching out for its strategic plan as well, that marries up with the comprehensive plan for commissioners' priorities that the community would like to see. And so we are very much working on the next 2 to 5 year goals for what our department should be focusing on. And that is a perfect opportunity at the retreat to say, here's where we're looking at, here's been kind of what we should be moving forward, and how do we get there as a board. So thank you.
If we have like, we think of something after sending the agenda out that we think might, there'll be something to send you an email like, hey, like this might be something good to learn about. I mean, like, what's the relationship between Asheville and Baldwin County schools and County Parks and Rec? Like,
That's a great.
right. So
Yeah.
I mean, those are things like I don't even know. I mean, I know more about Asheville City Schools just because that's where I worked at. But you guys work with Owen High School and Robertson. What's the relationship between? I guess I'm just saying, like, we have ideas leading up to that.
Yes.
And that also not actually talk about that you bring that here to this committee. You need that. Anything else? And don't ever hesitate to shoot Allison or me one a message if you think of something, somewhere you'd like to include or an idea you have. Yeah, good stuff. Thank you. It says new items, but I sort of remember us talking about the advisory board bylaws. This may be the third time. I'm trying to get a joke in here. And I'm also going to say that this might be a good thing, briefly talk about at the retreat, rather than doing it today. Because I don't see anybody brimming over with notebook full of stuff that you want to talk about. One thing I did see in there is that we definitely need to change the time of the meeting, date and time and bylaws, or when it occur, and a little bit about the makeup of the board. If some of the things that we're talking about go through. So my advice with your all's approval is that kind of put that aside and bring it back up when we have a more solid plan. Y'all good with that?
It should be balanced.
Okay. Art visitation. Adam, are you doing this next?
Oops,
Not yet.
because I am Max proxy today.
Okay.
Like old one could fill his shoes. And July 30th, it will be, Mac will be hosting a park visitation. You want to invite all of the advisory board just to come familiarize yourself with some of our facilities that we service. So he's going to go out to Ledges, Alexander, Walnut Island River Parks, as well as the North Buncombe pool fields and the Carpet soccer fields. And then,
May I ask you, are these places that we're invited to go?
yes.
Okay.
Yes, indeed, yes. Mac is going to do a tour on those days
Okay.
for the advisory board or anyone else who'd like to go.
Does he have or will he be sending out any additional information? Because, I mean, as it kind of reads, we're gonna meet at Ledges at noon and then caravan around, or is there gonna be a county van or?
Yes, Matt will send out additional information. The thought process is that we meet at a kind of a central location, whether it's the office at Valley Street, or something that's most convenient, and then kind of that if we have a vehicle that we can bring you all around so that conversation can be happening in the vehicle as we're going. We can visit these locations. So the 30th, those are the locations he was looking at. And that would be the time commitment. If for some reason you could do part of it, but not all of it, and you wanted a caravan, you could do that. Or if you're available at one, you could call up and say, where are you headed next, and meet them out there. So yes, and it would be the same for the first. Adam, I'll let you finish. Oh, so thank you for that question, the clarification.
And the second location would, on the first, also happening in Newton. That would be covering Hominy Creek River Park, Milford County Sports Park, as well as the Hominy Valley Parks and Pools and Bend Creek. So kind of hitting on two of our major sectors to one of the parks that are there. And as Allison said, Mac will be sending out further information closer to.
And volunteer opportunities.
So that's Matt, but also one of the things that we've been talking about, and it just kind of goes along with, we had previously talked about planned pop-up events. Those are actually kind of winding down right now. But I think what we want to do a better job of informing you of events that are coming up ahead of time. And so some of the events that we discussed today, so for example, the kids fishing tournament is on August the 24th. And it's at Lake Julian. And so that's an opportunity if any of the board members would like to come and be a part of that. We are happy to just show up and see what's going on. But also, I don't know how you all are. When I go visit somewhere, I like to do something. I like to feel like I'm contributing. And so whether that is helping measure fish, or, you guys are measuring, you're touching it. You're touching it and you're measuring it, Carol. Or just welcoming people as they come in, registration, whatever the case may be. We just want to know that when we're giving you updates about events that are coming up, that, I realized that we didn't formally invite you to come and volunteer at anything that you would like to, because we value that as well. And so even if there's a 4-hour event and you want to come out for a half hour, an hour, 2 hours, we just want you to know that we welcome that. And we would love to have you all come out and see, what we do and to be a part of what we do, because what we do is what you do as the board. And so we just want to make sure that you know that there is an opportunity If you just want to get to know the department a little better through some of these, you're welcome to always pop in, but you're also welcome to participate because we always have opportunities that we could use extra hands at various locations and various events that are going on. And Matt Dixon is currently the person that's kind of spearheading our volunteer opportunities. So you can reach out to Matt and let him know if you're interested in a particular program or something that is coming up. And then we'll get you hooked up in that light.
Okay, any board members have announcements for the good group? Okay, our next meeting, formal meeting is Tuesday, September the 10th, but a lot happened between now and then. So don't be shy. Oh,
I'm not gonna get the exact date off the top of my head, but the declaration of Parks and Rec one is happening. If anybody's willing to
The
come.
16th.
So that with me and our team, I think they should receive 16.
that would show, the support, of course, for the park.
Yeah, so that's usually, we'll show up a little before 5, and then they usually put us towards the beginning of the agenda, so it's not something they're gonna call you until 7 o'clock to do, so it's not a full.
Or 8:30.
Yeah, it's not like a 3-hour commitment there, so.
It's great, thanks for that reminder.
Where is it?
It would be at 200 College.
Anything else? It's so good to see you. Appreciate what everyone does. Thank you so much. This meeting is adjourned.
Good, thank you.